we shall study a new chapter today, that is growth and development of the crop. So how does the growth from germination till harvesting, how does it start its germination and then how it is turned into reproduction and then to the maturity. So that is all about this growth and development. We will study in detail about the different processes involved and how does that happen. So first is, what is growth? Growth is irreversible increase in size or the weight of the plant. We cannot revert back the time to go back to the earlier stage. That is irreversible. So growth is a irreversible increase in size or the weight of the plant. Now for the growth, the first process is photosynthesis for autotrophs. How does this photosynthesis takes place? So we will study about photosynthesis in plants a little in detail, how it happens. As we know, photosynthesis is nothing but the conversion of solar energy into chemical energy, or you can say carbon dioxide and water will be converted into glucose molecule, and this glucose molecule will be used for the energy metabolism in the plant. So photosynthesis can be studied under three pathways. The first one is entry of carbon dioxide. How does this happen? After the entry of carbon dioxide, the next process is photolysis. And the third one is reduction of carbon dioxide. So we can learn about photosynthesis in these three steps. First we will start with the entry of carbon dioxide. When the atmospheric carbon dioxide is entering into the plant, there will be some resistance offered by the leaf surface area. Suppose this is a plant, just a rough diagram. When carbon dioxide is entering into the plant, the leaf surface and the different parts of the plant will offer some resistance for the entry of the carbon dioxide. So the three different resistance which will be offered by a single plant. First one is boundary layer resistance, and next stomatal resistance, and next one is mesophyll resistance. So all these parts will offer some resistance for the entry of the carbon dioxide into the plant. The first one is a boundary layer. Here boundary layers means on the leaf surface. Suppose this is leaf surface. On the leaf surface, a thin layer of undisturbed air will be present. This is leaf surface. So on the surface of the leaf, a thin layer of undisturbed layer of the air will be present. That we call it as a boundary layer. So that will offer a resistance for entry of the carbon dioxide. This is first resistance, and the magnitude, it means the range of the resistance offered by this boundary layer varies between 0 to 400 seconds per meter. That means to travel 1 meter of length, it offers around, carbon dioxide requires around 400 seconds per meter in still air. If the boundary layer air is still, then it requires 400 seconds per meter of, this resistance will be offered by the boundary layer. If the air is turbulent and it is moving very fast, then it requires, the carbon dioxide requires no time to pass into the boundary layer. I hope this is clear. Boundary layer is nothing but the undisturbed air layer on the leaf surface that will offer some resistance for the entry of carbon dioxide. So that the magnitude varies from 0 to 400 seconds per meter. 0 is for turbulent air and 400 is for still air. After entering into the boundary layer, the next part which will be offering resistance is the stomatas. We know that stomatas are kidney shaped. So these will be closing and opening, and it is useful for the exchange of carbon dioxide and also for the transpiration of water. So these stomatas will also offer some resistance, and this magnitude varies between 50 to 100 seconds per meter. And after entering the stomatas, the third one is the mesophyll. This is the actual site of photosynthesis. So mesophyll also offers some resistance, and the magnitude varies from 100 to 1000 seconds per meter. As I have explained you for the boundary layer magnitude and how we have to interpret it, similarly for stomata and also mesophyll, it is the same to interpret like that. It means when the carbon dioxide is high in the atmosphere, then it can enter into the plant very quickly. That means higher the concentration of CO2, higher is its movement. This we can conclude. And we know that the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, in general we write it as 0.03%. Otherwise, in the earlier years, it was around 310 ppm, and nowadays due to the increase in the carbon dioxide, we know that global warming is also occurring. So nowadays carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is around 420 ppm. So there is increase in the carbon dioxide like 100 times. So these numbers and magnitudes is very important to remember. And after the entry of the carbon dioxide in the plant, what happens next? The first step in that is the photolysis. So we shall study about photolysis now. Photolysis is breaking of the water in presence of light. So the second step for photosynthesis is photolysis. Photo means light, lysis means breaking. In presence of light, the water molecule will be broken down to hydrogen and oxygen, and then that will be used for the production of the energy. So how this photolysis occur? When water is entering into the plant roots, when water molecules are present in the soil, roots will absorb the water from the soil. So when water molecule is entered into the root, that time the photolysis occurs. How this happens? We know that there are different pigments in the plant like chlorophyll, carotenoids, right? Phytochrome. Chlorophyll absorbs green light. Carotenoid absorbs red light, and phytochrome absorbs blue light. That is why the plants look green, because of the chlorophyll pigment, high amount of chlorophyll pigment. These two are much more involved in the photosynthesis process, because of when the pigments like chlorophyll and carotenoid are present in higher amount in the plant, then the photosynthesis process will be much faster, and there will be fresh green color of the plant as well. So these two, chlorophyll and carotenoid pigments, when they combine together, they combine and they reduce carbon dioxide to organic substance. Right? So these two, chlorophyll and carotenoid, as I have told you, these two are very important. These two coupled together, this will reduce the carbon dioxide which is entered into the plant to the organic substance. So after that, and then that will be used for metabolism, plant's metabolism. Now, when what happens to the pigments now? When pigments absorb light energy, these are the different orbits of the pigments, just what we have discussed right now, like chlorophyll and carotenoid. When light falls on the pigment, these are pigment layers, just a rough sketch. These are pigment layers. When pigment absorbs the light, that means photons, energy, that energy will, suppose the electrons are present in the lower orbit. When light energy falls on the electrons, the lower orbit electrons will gain energy, and that they will move to the higher orbit. Energized electron we can say here. I will repeat. When light is absorbed by the pigment, that light energizes the lower orbit electrons in the pigment, and those electrons will be moved to the higher orbit. And these higher orbit electrons, they will have the energy, and that will be used for the further process. Now we will see how these electrons will be passed on. So I just write it like a flow chart. Pigment like chlorophyll and all, it absorbs energy, and that energy, the electrons are passed on to the surrounding reacting molecules. This energy is transferred. This energy is transferred to the reacting molecules nearby, and these reacting molecules use energy in photolysis. Photo means, as I have told you, H2O will be broken down into H2O plus nascent oxygen, single oxygen. This energy is used for breaking down of the water molecule into hydrogen and then nascent oxygen, single oxygen. And now this hydrogen is used for the conversion of NADP to NADPH. This hydrogen is used for the reduction of NADP to NADPH. Here again energy is released. Again the energy is released in the conversion of NADP to NADPH, and this energy is again used in the conversion of ADP to ATP, which is the ultimate energy molecule, energy giving molecule in the photosynthesis. I repeat this. The pigments like chlorophyll and carotenoid, it absorbs the energy, and the electrons present in the lower orbit will move to the higher orbit, and then those electrons will be passed on to the reacting molecules nearby, and those reacting molecules use the energy in the photolysis, breaking of the water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen, nascent oxygen, and this hydrogen is utilized in the reduction of NADP to NADPH. In this conversion process, again the energy is released. That energy is consumed for the production of ADP to ATP, which this is ATP is the ultimate energy giving molecule in the plant. ATP. So this conversion we call it as a photophosphorylation. Photophosphorylation. Again there are two processes in photophosphorylation, like cyclic and non-cyclic. We will discuss about that cyclic and non-cyclic now. I process, we call it as a light reaction. Light reaction, since it is taking place under the presence of light, this we call it as a light reaction, and there photolysis occur. So till the production of ATP, we call it, or we design it under light reaction.